bottles, yeah, we got them all. Line them all up and we'll drink till we fall. Arthur Cantina's the best liquor store. Arthur Cantina, you'll never need more.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Arthur Cantina Podcast. I'm your host, JP, with the other host, Anthony.
Hello.
And today we have two lovely special guests. Host of one of my favorite names, I Wish I Were Prosciutto.
It's a great name.
Favorite names. Not the favorite podcast, but the favorite name
the
of
podcast is terrible. No, the podcast is fantastic. The podcast is fantastic as well. You guys can introduce yourselves.
Sure.
Because he can't pronounce our names.
No.
I'm Sandra Radash.
I'm Martin Blanco.
There you go. And
Nice
again,
to meet you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks
for
for having
us.
No, we
Thank you.
Enjoyed the shop very much and enjoyed the podcast.
Too much.
And really, too much for our own good. So glad to have this opportunity.
Well, Martin, you actually, you began the relationship. You asked me to be a guest on your podcast over the phone. And I was kind of taken aback, but I was like, I'm always game for things.
Okay.
So I was happy to do it. And it really piqued my interest because I thought, people are doing things like this. People are making content like this. People are marking their place in time. Mm-hmm. And it kind of gave me a lot of motivation to do our own podcast.
Really?
We only did I think 1 or 2 episodes at that point.
Yeah.
But it gave me a little more fire to get that pot cooking.
Wow.
That's awesome.
You were
That's
inspirational.
Awesome. Well, I called you just because I had a nice experience here. Somehow however it works, you came up on my Instagram feed long before. And you guys were making very good posts. And I was in the hunt for centerba. And I talk at length about it on the podcast, how my mom sent me all over Italy and looking like centerba, getting nowhere. And eventually we found it in Italy, but I couldn't find it in the States. And on a whim, I said, I wonder if these guys at Arthur Cantina have access to centerba. Called up. I did not speak with you, but whoever was there said, yeah, we got it. So I said, I'm coming in this weekend, bought a couple of bottles for Mother's Day. And the whole experience was very good. So a year or so later, when we were doing our own podcast, I said, let me call these guys up. And it was a podcast about centerba, and you were fantastic. Just a wealth of information.
Very informative.
Oh, yeah. And I thought, this was great. So I've been shopping here ever since. So, if I'm in the sphere and I need a bottle of wine or something, I was like, yeah, I'll come here.
Well, funny note, whoever was in the store listened to me on the phone call was giving me looks while I was talking on the phone.
Oh, is that right?
So as soon as I hung up the phone, I was like, what the fuck? What do you want to say? What? And I was like yelling at them. I forgot who it was.
Oh.
So I was trying to keep my composure the whole time on the phone. I'm like, yeah, centerba is 100, and this guy's making like faces at me going, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, I'll tell you, on our phone call beforehand, you cracked me up because we were talking, and it was a good, sort of pre-interview conversation. And you said, excuse me for 1 second. And then you were chewing someone out. I don't know if it was a worker or a customer. And I'm listening to all of this. But then when you came back, it was like a complete change of persona. And then it went back to radio persona. It's like, and I'm like, this is very funny. I was like, we've got someone who's going to be very good on the radio and can, on a dime, go from his, shop manager, owner persona to the I'm on air in the public persona. And you do it very well.
You were mimicking Anthony.
Yeah.
So
Anthony is very flattering.
Oh, yes. And it's elegant, and it's delicate, and it's finely refined. And he said, can you wait a minute, please? He said, what? Only, and I clean that up a lot, and then he comes back on.
Without missing a beat.
I spit my coffee all over the windshield. It was so hilarious.
Yeah. Big cleanup. So, but no, it was a good fit. Because the podcast, it's about Italian food. We're not really recipes per se, but it's like what's good, what's made in the old ways with that kind of care and dedication to the product, and is there a story behind it? So we talk to restaurateurs, we talk to shopkeepers, and we talk to people. My mother.
Your mother.
Every third or fourth episode.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Incorporating your mom into it.
Yeah.
And bringing up like the old. You're talking about Danny's Pork Store.
Danny's Pork Store. Yeah.
I had it thought about that place for such a long time. And when you said it, it mentioned to me, I was like, oh, I remember that place. I remember the old guy standing outside. I remember the sausage hanging in the window. I remember the blue, red, and white awning. It brought me back in a place in time where,
nice.
Someone hadn't mentioned it was already forgotten in history to me.
I know. I remember when, as an adult, I would come back to the neighborhood. I'll tell you why in a second. And I'd always go to Danny's. But as a kid, I was there all the time because my grandparents, all four of them, lived in the neighborhood. And my mom's parents were very good friends with Danny and helped him get started with his business. So we were always there. But now, as an adult, I'm coming back because the sausage is great. I can't get this kind of good food up in Connecticut, where, even though there's a lot of nice places, but no one like Danny's sausage. But so one day I come back and it was closed up. And it was like, I got on the phone, like, Mom, what happened? She goes, oh, yeah, Pat, his son Pat sold the business. I'm like, no! But that seems like yesterday, but that was over a quarter of a century ago.
But you know what? That's Anthony's comments on when you were talking about the pork store is exactly the emotion that you were looking for when you started the podcast. It was emotions about the old neighborhood and memories of childhood and memories of the neighborhood. And it was just that, and still is, a neighborhood connected by so many different Italian fabrics and culture, right?
Well, you guys, your generation, still running shops and doing things of quality and substance. That keeps the neighborhood going.
I wonder if this is going to continue. There's no trade schools anymore. Our trades are dying. And is there even an idea to start a small business as a young kid coming out of college? Do you have that intention, or do you just jump into the workforce and become a cog like anyone else?
Right.
I don't really see young kids doing stuff like that. I would love to see something with Fordham University. If they can have some kind of program to say, hey, here's an apprenticeship into making bread. Let's get some state or city incentive, and let's get some bakery opened up.
That's a great idea.
I would love a bagel shop in the neighborhood. We don't have one.
Right. Because there's everything else here in this neighborhood, but you don't have a bagel shop.
We were talking about with a couple of people, like, man, this neighborhood could really benefit from like a breakfast bagel shop. It would be fantastic.
Who better than the shop owners to get together and to take that idea to Fordham?
I mean, if Fordham listens, I would love, but they're more geared towards
finance, I guess.
And charging you $85,000 a year to.
It's expensive school.
We're not going to step on Fordham's toes here.
Look at one of our workers. I mean, he's rearing to graduate and go to the corporate life.
So we can come back and buy the fine wines yourself.
Yeah, probably.
There is that, but the other thing that some might do, the question is, will enough younger people do this, is, let's say they have that degree in finance, and let's say they go out, they become a cog. But when you're young and you're working at, let's say, J.P. Morgan, you're expected to work hard, work long hours. You can make a lot of money, and so by the time you're in your early 30s, some people like, okay, now I'm burned out of this, and I've got a few bucks here. And what is your passion? And I think these are the people who might now, they have the capital and they have the business sense. If they liked the fresh bagels, if they like fine wines, if they want to start making mozzarella's or importing cheeses from Italy, let's say, these are the people who might take that next step and do that, because they're lined up to do it. But to your point, I don't know, how many 17-year-olds are thinking like, I want to own my own shop and I want to get up at 4 a.m. and get the ovens going.
I want to be a butcher.
I don't know who wants to be a butcher. Actually, we had one worker that was a butcher. Fired him. He, whatever reason, he didn't cut it out as a butcher. Whole Foods let him go.
But there you go, Whole Foods, not Joe's Butcher.
What you're saying is spot on with Madonia. The nephew, he was working in, I think he was working in finance. I believe he must not have liked it and came to run the bakery.
Look at that. And now we've got another generation running one of the top bakeries.
Shout out Breadman.
Breadman. Yeah.
We should get him on the podcast.
He would be a good guy too.
Because how do you stop the erosion of this neighborhood? More and more shops close over time. If they don't have an heir, or they don't have someone that wants to take it over,
learn the business.
How does it continue?
That's a fair question.
How do you stop the neighborhood from shrinking, and maybe in turn change it and get it to grow.
Yeah. It's interesting because growing up, my dad's parents lived on Hughes Avenue, which is really, really close by, cuts right through. My mom grew up on Crotona Avenue, not that far away, but we spent more time at my maternal grandparents. And my big confession to Sandra a couple months ago was, we didn't go to Arthur Avenue that much. I mean, we went, but rarely did we go past 187th Street and like Mount Carmel Church and what was then Half Moon Pizza. Not because you didn't have to. In other words, the neighborhood was so big that on Crotona Avenue, there was 2 fruit stands and a bread shop. And right around the corner was a seafood store. So you didn't have to venture. And sometimes we did. Sometimes we come to the market. But my grandmother could shop for everything she needed, like within 50 yards of her house. The neighborhood was of that size. And the commercial area, that has shrunk over the years, but it survived remarkably. I'm guessing the university nearby, the zoo, the botanical gardens, it was sort of created this oasis where you could still concentrate a number of these specialty stores and restaurants. And the fact that everyone keeps up the quality is, it makes a big difference. But to your point of let's figure out a way to now just extend it another 2 or 3 blocks out in the radius, that would be wonderful. Yeah. There's enough people here, right?
Maybe instead of going to Fordham, you go to the high schools. You get them younger, and you get them for summer jobs and weekend jobs during the school year. Because by the time they get to Fordham, they pretty much have their plot laid out. But the high schools, kids are still looking to find themselves.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Even Cardinal Hayes, which Cardinal Hayes isn't that far, is it? Or maybe it is.
Flies? No, probably not. It's got to be within a couple miles.
Who has internship programs for their students in different directions. I think you probably have to get them younger and get them interested and show them the fun. No?
I had my nephew and his high school classmate help me out in my house yesterday.
Yeah.
So moving furniture from one room to the attic. And we're talking, and he's like, the classmate goes, I've never done a chore before. I go, what do you mean? He goes, I never made my bed.
A chore?
Never made my bed.
He goes, I never threw out the garbage.
Oh my God.
I go, what do you mean you never threw out the garbage? My nephew goes, I've thrown out the garbage. I go, okay, but you don't do any of the other chores either. You don't even put your plate in the sink. He's like, yeah, you're right, I don't.
Jeez.
I don't know if these new generation kids are being helicoptered or...
Interesting.
They got the head up their asses.
Something like that. I'm trying not to curse,
no, we're trying not.
He never made his bed.
Never made his bed.
And I'm watching this kid, and this kid's like, "Oh, my back! Oh, he's carrying pieces up there.
His
back. This kid's got to be 16."
Yeah.
Oh my God, damn.
My shoulder's got a little the bursitis. Uncle Tony. Yeah, that's fine. We had our kids. They grew up in relative, comfort and luxury, but we had them every week. They had to clean their bathrooms, just to have them do it. They were expected to make their beds.
Their bathrooms. Yeah. Each had a bathroom.
They each there was a Jack and Jill element. Yeah, they each had their sink areas, and then there was a shared shower and toilet. To your point, though, they would switch. They had to do their area every week, and then they would take turns on the shower and the toilet, and of which. My son needed a little more cajoling than my daughter, but he got there. He's in the Navy now, so he's like he's the one making the beds, and everything better be ship shape.
It was very eye opening yesterday. I didn't expect this kid to say that to me.
Yeah,
I never made my bed.
I never did a chore.
I know. Yeah, I know. That's not the Italian way, right?
Did you
one generation ago, go out, start a business.
Yep.
Mow the lawn. We don't have a lawn. Mow it anyway.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, let's just get this done. Let's get these kids out of here.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very eye-opening yesterday. Nice kids. Smart kids.
No.
But I don't know. I don't think the hard work is in their sphere of thought.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes external things change that radically overnight. All of a sudden, you better get used to it.
Yeah, sure. Once they want the flashy car and they want a bank account. Yeah, things happen.
All right.
Sandra, wine.
So,
Thank you. Is it time?
I've been drinking already.
What
But,
did you pour for us?
I should have cheers. I don't.
Salute.
I'm trying to be a gentleman. I'm trying not to curse. I wore a button-down shirt.
I know.
But
And
my animal
I'm the
side
only one
comes
wearing
out.
sunglasses. I wanted to fit in. I'm like, I'm the only one.
I got
He's got
I put my
glasses.
sunglasses on. Don't wear mine. I got you.
All right, now we bad.
What are we drinking here?
Well, key thing, sip first or smell first, whatever you like, however you want to do it. A nice little trick I always teach people, smell with your mouth closed, smell again with your mouth open.
Really?
You can pick up a little bit more when you have your mouth open. You're going to look a little goofy. People don't think you're a mouth breather.
That's
But
okay.
you pick up more.
Ironically,
Guilty.
I am too.
Interesting. Thank you.
So this is lead.
This is lovely.
This is from a house called Tenuta San Guido.
Ah,
Tanguido.
tell me, Tenuto, is that a family name or a region name?
I have no clue.
Because we had a Tenuta something or other at Tre Bicchieri this week.
Oh, there's a bunch of stuff.
There's a bunch of Tenuta.
I think it means house.
Okay.
All right, House San Guido.
Okay.
They make this guy, which is like their entry level. It's Cab and Cab Franc. And then they make the
Guido Alberto.
Guido Alberto, which is their second tier. And their high-end tier is a Sassicaia. So this guy retails about $40. The Guido Alberto is about $55. And it jumps to Sassicaia around $3.40. But Sassicaia, man, it's a glass of wine that's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. This is great.
This is.
Has a few layers to it. A little suppleness. Then it kind of washes out. Sassicaia is similar, but it has a lot more depth. A lot more things going on.
Okay.
So you get a lot more bang for your, I should say bang per drop.
Okay.
You're going to spend
And you're
a lot of money.
but you're still tasting it. You swallow, and it's still lingering in your mouth. Yeah.
The amazing thing was we had a company dinner. So we had a bunch of Hine wines. And we had Tianello. Tianello's like 160, 170 a bottle. We had a Sassicaia. Then we drank the Tianello. Tianello tasted like shit. It tasted like dog shit. I was like, I don't even want to finish this glass. Imagine, 100% out of the bottle.
I know.
I don't even
I
want to
wouldn't
finish this
say
thing.
dog shit, but
No, compared to the Sassicaia, compared to the Massatino,
Right.
tasted like dog shit.
I think the Massatino was my favorite that night.
It was phenomenal. Massatino was 100% Merlot. So these are French varietals that the Italians took and made better than the French.
Ah.
But
Wow.
you're gonna
With
pay.
soil,
Yeah. Then you pay.
with
Well,
soil,
Soil,
with air, with
hard work,
sea.
climate, location, all these things play into a part. The soil being the most important because there's all kinds of bacterium and things in there that give the grape its flavors and its depth and its dynamic. The climate's going to help that skin on the grape get thick and thin, contrasting and expanding with the heat and the cold. The location where it is, you have maybe former riverbeds, so you pick up some sedimentary flavors. Maybe there was an Etruscan who got killed there, 2,000 years ago, and his bones and feeding the vines.
It all goes back to the Etruscans. Everything good, right? That's great.
Those little things
So
play a
it's-
part.
So it's luck too,
It's a
but it's
combination of luck,
consistency.
skill.
Because that Etruscan bone marrow eventually is going to get sucked out of the soil, right?
Yeah, no
so
COVID
it's
back
going to
then.
change. And with climate change, does
Oh, so
the
they
vine change, right?
they were the first people to ring the bell on climate change were the
Really?
winemakers.
Really?
Because they were noticing vines are getting damaged,
Right.
things are rotting, they're not producing enough photosynthesis, they're getting wacky levels of sugar. When temperature goes up, grapes get real sensitive to it. And the winemakers are the first guys to see this. Because in their wines, they're tasting off, they're tasting weird. They're not yielding as much, they're getting diseases that they weren't getting before. So it's a big thing, climate change, with the wine growers.
So
Do you remember the first time you heard from the vintners about the changing climates, that things are changing.
Maybe 10 years ago.
10? Has it been 10?
Yeah. But, people, you disregarded it, right? Because you have all these other people talking about, oh, it's not true, it's just a fluke, it's a variation this year compared to last year. They're talking about 10 years ago. And then you think also, too, maybe this guy's just full of shit. Because maybe his wine just sucked that year.
Yeah, and now he's telling the story.
Oh, it's climate change. And then, you're buying into it. He's not eating at his skill.
Sure.
Yeah, been talking about it for a long time.
Right, a decade later, now it's widespread. I mean, there's a lot of data behind that. We talked to Mike Title about it for the olives. And I overheard him in the store, and I said, would you come on my podcast and tell this story about what's happening in Europe, Italy, but other places, what's happening to the olive trees? And there were climate change issues, profound climate change issues. But it begged the question, that's going to affect the grapes, too. So at Tre Bicchieri last year, we asked one guy who had a magnificent wine. I don't remember what it was at this point, but it was delicious. And he's going on, and he was very happy and upbeat. And we said, talk to us about climate change. What is it going to do to the industry? And so this happy guy, right, on a dime, became so sober. And he just the smile went away, and he looked down and he said, it's serious, and that's it. So this is the real deal.
It's funny you say at Tre Bicchieri that he got sober when you asked him that question.
Yeah, I know, right
That
away.
was the last thing I was.
Yeah, I know. That's a serious one.
Because, this Tre Bicchieri is the top 100, 200 winemakers in Italy, and we were all there. And, I'm supposed to be a professional, but every time we go to these tasting events, I'll taste the first, 3 or 4 things. I go, okay. I never write notes down. I'm like, I'm going to remember this. And then my problem is I don't spit, I don't dump because I go, this is expensive. This is expensive. I got to enjoy it. Next thing I know, I'm making a fool of myself.
It's counterintuitive to have all this levelet, right? And boom, you gotta break that, right? I know.
But I mean, we tasted some really good wines at Tre Bicchieri. I mean, I would love to tell you which one was my favorite, but it was probably, I don't know, the first or second wine I drank that I remember. And then next thing I know.
Well, you had told us, and then our new friend Jerry told us we're going on about
Jerry. You guys met Jerry, that's right.
We met Jerry accidentally. We were just having food, and Jerry and his wife, Corey came up, and we're just chatting. And we're all from Connecticut, so and Corey's very outgoing, so it wasn't long before we found ourselves in each other's conversation. So it was all very nice. Then all of a sudden you come over, and you look at me and goes, "Oh, you're talking to this guy? Check your right pocket.
Check your wallet,"
which was cute. 10 minutes later, you come by. Says the same thing. And you go, "Oh, Martin, you're talking to this guy. Check your wallet." I was like, okay. But
then you really check your wallet. Holy shit. Maybe I should check
know. Right. When 2 times. But my wallet was there, happily. Wallet was there. But everyone should go to table, I think it was 58 and 49. And I think we enjoyed very much. At one of them, at table 58, it was gone. There was a Barola there, I think, and by the time we got there, they'd gone through everything. But at 59, 40, I made a little note here. It paid off, 49, table 49.
See, there you go, making notes.
La Tenute there, barely. There was a Costa Arente Amarone. I made 4 stars, and I like Amarone a lot. And that was good. And then, Sandra, you really loved the Dormani, strong flavor, and we were very happy we went there.
Always welcome every year.
Hey, thank you.
It's a great time.
Yeah.
I like to go. I like to just see people that I know, other suppliers.
Yeah.
Sometimes the winemakers are there.
Yeah.
Well, the guy for Galatrona was there. I was telling you, go see him. He's a big shot. He needs to be here. He's here for some reason.
Yes.
Why do you think he was here?
I think he was there just to
Schmooze?
maybe see like the 4 or 5 people accounts that he really needs to see.
That you need to say. Okay.
Maybe just to keep his wine relevant and the people in the presence of people's thoughts and stuff, because new wines come out every year. If you're not on top of your game, you get forgotten, and your sales are in the floor. And now all of a sudden you have a bunch of wine you can't sell.
Now he had the Merlot.
Yeah.
Now you loved it. We tried it. We liked it well enough. But why did you love it so much? What about it from your perspective?
I love when the Italians take the French varietals and make them better than the French.
Okay.
One is a point of pride.
Okay.
Two,
I love that.
I think they do really, really well when you are not cutting corners and you're sparing no expense. Galatron is 130 a bottle. So this guy is putting the best grapes into the bottle. He's throwing out the stuff that's no good, stuff that the birds picked at, anything that has a little bit of rot, or anything that has a little bit of like shrinkage on it. He's chucking all that stuff out.
Okay.
Probably all hand-picked too, no machines. So there's less damaged grapes, less bruised grapes. You're getting premium juice.
And that's why you're paying that 132. You're hand picking stuff.
I can't afford it every weekend.
Okay.
Maybe once a month. I don't even think I could do it once a month. But on a nice occasion, you want to share a really nice glass with someone.
Sure.
A bottle like that makes a memory that much stronger in your mind. Right? You remember, we had that time we were talking about whatever, we had whatever food, and we had that bottle. Oh, yeah, wow, it was really good. And it really, for me, it cements the memory in my head. But of course, you can't spend that money every day.
No.
I like those wines a lot. Massetino's like once a year thing. Sakai for me is once a year thing. Really good metric. Actually, me and Joey went to this. Back when they had that kitchen in Yonkers, I forget what it was called. They sold you a bunch of kitchenware and they had classes there. It's closed now. Went out of business. I forgot the name of it.
Sur La Table?
Yeah, Sur La Table.
Sur La Table. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
There's
we were
one
there.
in Darien now.
You have to come up to Connecticut.
They closed the one in Yonkers, but his wife, my wife, we both went. We did a little class, and the chef said something really nice and something that still sticks with me today. He says, you shouldn't go out to eat every weekend. You should go out to eat once a month. Instead of spending all that money 4 times a month, save up all that money, spend it someplace really nice and special. You should go to a kitchen where no one is screaming and yelling at each other. They're working like a machine. They know what they're doing. They do this every day. Everything's spot on. Everything's done.
Like ballet. Yeah.
Everything comes out and it's phenomenal. It's something you can't replicate in your house because you're getting some guy's skill who's a master chef for the last 20, 30 years. I always thought about that. And it clicked in my head and said, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. So they go to some mediocre place and you go home and you're like, I could have cooked that better. Okay, so what the hell I go there for? I spend $50 for it. Save up those $50, drop $200, have a memory you can never forget, something really good quality, and you move on. It's kind of my metric also with good quality wines. You know, Le Défi is $40. I'd rather you drink one of those once a month than drink 4 bottles of Yellowtail.
Right.
All right? Because what memory do you create from the Yellowtail?
Not a one. No.
All right, your days in a blur. You wake up the next day, your liver's hurting.
Yeah. Your head's hurting. You can't open your eye.
Yeah.
I'd rather you pay for it once than pay for it 4 times. And that's kind of been my thought process too with
That's
the
a
higher
good
end Italian
mantra.
ones. So it's like, you know what? Save the
Quality.
money, get a good
Quality.
quality things, get something that's the best of what it is, and go from there.
Would you talk to us a little bit about Amarone? Because that has become my favorite Italian wine, and I discovered it right here in this neighborhood at Roberto's back when he was on the small place on 186th Street. I was there with a friend who was entertaining a client, and the client was ordering the wine. They kept bringing it out, and I said, this is why people make a fuss over wine. Because up to then, my wine drinking was my grandparents liked Gallo. We would serve it. Since I was 5 years old, I'd have a little with Sunday day. Perfectly fine. But now I had an experience, like you said, that memory. I'm like, oh my God. And they just said they couldn't remember the particular vintage, but they said it was an Amarone. So I started drinking Amarones. I was like, this is a big difference. And that sort of became my wine. So what's happening with Amarones in the world today?
So Amarone is actually relatively new. It's less than 100 years old. I didn't know that until recently. I always thought it was some wine that's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
So what they do is they take the harvest, they take a part of the harvest and they put it on these big mesh grates. They leave these grates out in the sun. And what happens, those grapes raisin. So they lose some water, their skin tightens up, they concentrate their flavors, the interior becomes almost like a jellyish like consistency. It becomes a little bit more concentrated. Think of like the inside of a grape, just take out the water and concentrate that. They then take the other harvest, they press that, get the juice from there, and they pour that fresh juice over those raisin grapes. What happens is you're picking up all the complex sugars, all the rich flavors, from those raisin grapes and infusing it into the wine. That's called appassamento, to pass again.
Appassamento.
So that's what makes Amarone special. Amarone usually can be a couple different grapes, but usually Corvina, Molinara, Rondinella. Year to year, they're allowed to add different things in, depending on the climate, the conditions. If one grape didn't do good because whatever, so they'll use another grape because this one did better. That is what makes the wine. So you're adding the sugar, right? With the ability with sugar, you can mask the level of alcohol. Also, with the presence of sugar, yeast loves that and will now eat that sugar and shit out a bunch of alcohol. So Amarones are 14 and a half, 15 and a half, up 16. I think I've seen like 15.6 was the highest I've ever seen.
Wow.
But you don't really taste it. It's not aggressive because it's being masked by, one, the complexity of the raisin, and two, the amount of sugar content. So they call it high residual sugar content. We had it at Roberto's too. After that big dinner with the Massatino, the Sassicaia, who cracked open a bottle of Britannia Amarone, it was like candy.
Yeah.
After all those dry wines, all those nice, delicious, rich foods that we're eating, it was like drinking candy.
Nice for dessert.
Beautiful. It was like, it went down fantastic. Roberto even had a glass with us.
Oh, nice.
It was very, very nice. Very nice. Amarone is one of my favorite wines.
Yeah.
And I always say, if you want to have it by itself, some dark chocolate. Dark chocolate with the Amarone makes the perfect pairing. Or if you had a big meal and you had a bunch of different wines, you bring in the Amarone at the end. One, it's a little bit sweeter, but two, it gives you a little bit of that sugar boost. So now you were like a little all beat up from the food and the wine. The sugar
You take that
kicks in.
like Popeye, you know? you got the sailor.
Like, oh, you're good. And Amarone can get up there, but you know, a good bottle you can start at 60.
Yeah.
Really nice bottle, 150. You can go up from there too, but I think you get some good quality at 150.
We were at a restaurant in D.C. called Galileo's one time. A fine Italian restaurant, and they had their wine list. It was a book like this thick. I'm like, oh, this is fun. But they had 3 pages for one Amarone. I think they were charging $45,000 for that bottle. And there's a story behind it. There was pre-World War II.
That's our tax dollars.
I know,
if
right
this
now.
was Washington.
They discovered a couple of cases, 10 cases, bricked up in a building that was hidden from the Nazis. They were taken over, and so they really had to run, and they basically hid it in the walls of this little room, probably smaller than the shop here, you know, and then 40, 50 years later.
Save the wine.
Yeah. And they're renovating this little shed or whatever, and they find these cases of the Amarone. So it was like tens of thousands of dollars a bottle. There was only a couple of cases, you know, and so they had a policy at Galileo. They said, if you are not happy with your wine, you know, we will take it back and you will not be charged. So I said, I have to ask. I would like to have this Amarone, but if I'm not satisfied with it, they have my, $45,000 back, and they threw me out. No, but there's a story, right, that goes back to, and was it that delicious? I'm going to guess it was good, but I think the price tag came with its rarity and the story that came with it, right? That's something.
If you're a guy who has everything,
yeah, that's who your clients are. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But like you said, I mean, if this thing was hidden away in a wall, it can't taste good. I don't like the heat, whatever, however it was. If it's
it's also cellar-like conditions if it's hidden behind a brick wall.
Yeah, but where's this brick
sun,
wall? Who knows?
No temp.
I said we go down to DC.
Maybe it wasn't.
You
don't know where it was.
We challenge them.
We challenge them.
Challenge them on your brick wall.
Yeah.
Show us the brick wall.
In and we, I got $50 a month, and we see.
Let's get it. Yeah, I'll be right back. I go to the bathroom, and I'll be back here.
On 5 we run. No, but at any rate,
where did you glean? Where did you gather all of your knowledge? How many years have you both been working?
He's getting there. He's not confident, but he knows some stuff. He's getting there.
Well, from watching on the
podcast, we know that.
No, from watching on the podcast. No. You can speak about the products very, very well. So you do too. But it's like together, right? You guys, I have like this much knowledge and can maybe fake it, right? But you guys, it's much more expansive, and you can tell right away that it's just from drinking it.
One's 20 years.
Couple drunkards. That's about drinking. We just keep drinking.
20 years of working in the store, but we've been drinking since high school. We've been drinking since we were 15, 16.
Okay.
We went from,
into the mic now.
George
Since
vodka
high
out of
school.
water bottles into $100 of wine.
Very industrious. Very.
So you kind of burned your palate out, and then kind of softened it and brought it back.
Well, I was actually
With
telling
the
this story
wines.
to the kids that are helping me out yesterday. Right before 9/11, I had gotten a fake ID from Chinatown.
Okay.
Back when you can get a fake ID.
Good old days.
Oh my God! Before 9/11, you weren't
Right.
a little adult. Oh my God,
Right.
I'm so old. Okay.
Well, these kids weren't even born yet.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the
So I was
thing.
like, oh,
These kids are like, you don't
God
remember
damn,
that?
No 9/11.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
no,
not
it's more after.
chocolate.
And that ID was what was able to get me into wherever I wanted to go and buy whatever I wanted. Obviously, after 9/11, a lot harder to get a fake ID.
Sure.
But I guess a long, illustrious career of drinking. Okay. And back then, we used to drink 40s of beer.
Yeah,
Right.
whatever you
sure,
get your hands on.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I remember one of the first times we drank, he goes, I'm going to steal a bottle from my parents.
Yeah.
That's great. And he brings a bottle of Sambuca. We just see it, like, this is disgusting, But again, you're 17, 16,
Right.
trying to get into trouble, and we
you
found
found
it.
And you succeeded.
It's now it morphed into purposeful drinking, and it's sort of
Sure.
a historic and Epicurean journey too.
This has a
And-
happy ending.
Yeah, no.
These beginnings don't
Channeled
always
it,
have a
yeah.
happy ending.
Purposeful drinking. Now I drink to forget. Not to
But people drink obviously for a lot of different reasons, and but there's a pleasure in it it's just extraordinary. And my daughter, she's a foodie, first class foodie. When she came of age, I think she was going to do a semester in Italy in Bologna, which because of the pandemic turned into 8 weeks, but really started discovering, good fine wines and cocktails on her own. And she sort of treats it like it's a segment of the food world. Things obviously they pair together, but how you craft something really, really matters. The ingredients that you're using, the way you blend it. And, there's enjoyment. And the thing like we met over Centebra, it's like you're drinking history. They've been making this since the Middle Ages. So we can't go back in time, but we can get a sense of that quite pleasurably through some of these products, through these spirits. And, and you come down in this neighborhood, it's like a repository of knowledge of all sorts. I mean, what you're eating, how you're dressing the food, and then, the coffee you drink, the spirits that you drink, and it's all here. And so we revel in that. And you guys are an important part of that volume of knowledge here. So it's not just drinking. Drinking is fun and joyful, but
So many good memories made by drinking.
Yeah.
Good, bad, forgotten.
Forgotten too.
Oh, we did.
We should have
High
drank the
school.
Centerba because I've actually never had Centerba.
We can
Centerba?
crack it at the end. We'll crack
We'll crack it
It's gonna
Centerba?
overpower the hell out of everything. We'll crack it at the end.
Yeah, I've never had it.
It's strong.
It's
strong,
strong,
huh?
but it's it's got gravitas. It's the real deal. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
And then in the right hands, though, it's a wonderful addition to cocktails.
In the wrong hands.
In the wrong hands,
World domination.
It's like a weapon. Yeah.
It's very strong.
It's true.
I think I choked.
Oh no,
I choked.
No,
you did warn
But
me,
you know what's so
and it was
great?
a little sip.
It was, that was your first response, and then when it all settled down, you were like, "It's actually pretty good." That's amazing that a drink
Because
can have
that's
that
when
effect.
all the herbs and the healing herbs and
The 100 herbs.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I was anesthetized.
So let me ask you, growing up, I guess, near here, maybe not in there, do you remember the Belmont Italian-American Playhouse?
No.
No. Does that
No.
ring a bell? It's right across the street on top of Modern. The Modern,
It still has the there's still something there that says it's there.
There was an awning there. It's a playhouse. I don't know. I'll look to see
I
if
think
it's
on the
still there.
bricks it
But-
says like
It says Italian bakers.
it says
Said
something
Bakers.
there.
So that was a thing for about 11 years. After 9/11, it sort of faded away. But in the 90s, like from 91 to 2001, 2002, it was professional theater. And I worked there. I was in my late 20s. And the reason why I bring it up is it was founded by a man named Dante Alberti and Marco Greco. Marco Greco, as in David Greco's younger brother, Mike Greco's son. So he was a neighborhood guy, but I knew Marco in college. I'm a little older than him. And so when I met him, we had a bromance. We're sitting around talking. He tells me where he's from, and he tells me about his dad's deli. He's like, oh, my God, I've been there. I've probably seen you behind the counter. And he went home one weekend, came back with the mozzarella. He said, hey, my friend, I made this just for you. But no one ever made me a mozzarella. But as we parted ways, he was an undergraduate. I was in grad school, going on to graduate school elsewhere. Marco was just sort of philosophizing. He goes, you know what I want to do when I'm done here? I want to, either be and I say this with respect, if you're listening, Marco, I think I want to be a pro wrestler,
Hell yeah.
a porn star, or start a professional theater company on Arthur Avenue. And I laughed, and I said, out of the three of them, the one that seemed most unlikely was starting the theater company on Arthur Avenue.
Pro wrestling.
But he did it. Now, Marco's a fine writer and a good actor. Started 10 years. We have Pulitzer Prize winning playwright, worked here. Stephen Adley Gerges went on to do great things. He worked here. Tony Award winning scene designer Beowulf Boric got his start here. I got my start here. But it was right above the Modern Market. And the owner of Modern, Lou Izzo at the time, liked the idea. Marco approached him. He goes, all right, I got space I'm not using. Let's turn it into a theater. And so many wonderful things came out of that, including me coming back to this neighborhood a lot from Connecticut, almost, months and months and months every day after work. I'd come down here, got to know the shop owners, got to know Marco's family a little bit more, and the food we had there, because when you do theater, you're obliged to feed the actors on days when you have tech rehearsals, because they're long days. So Mike's Deli provided all
an actor, right?
Mike's Deli provided all the food, and I'm like, I don't care what theater company you're working at in New York City. I don't know if you're at the Manhattan Theater Club. I don't care where you are. No one is eating better.
Yeah, not getting lunch like that.
Oh my God, it was crazy. It was crazy. But I got to know Stan from Full Moon, and I met Eddie Mush. All the things. But it was a great place to work. 10 years. And it
would have been right across the street from here.
That'd be fantastic to have something like that today.
Yeah,
that really would be
nice. Right. And people would come in. People like my good friend Sandra. I'm like, where are you doing this show? Oh, Arthur Avenue. Yeah, I'll come down. We'll come down with a bunch of people, go out to dinner, see the show, go out and have pastries and coffee. Afterwards,
was a party.
A night of it. Yeah. And you knew your car was safe. So that was it. No one's going to give you any trouble.
All right, Martin, pass the bottle down.
Okay.
Anthony's glass, JP's glass is empty too.
Oh.
No, I mean, I got to work after this, so.
And
It is Sunday. It'll be
fine.
Thank you.
You got to save them.
Well, I mean, we paired. I mean, we didn't even talk about what we were eating. We were eating Joe's Deli's. I'm a champion of Joe's Deli. I think they're, like, again, we if you've seen other episodes, we talk about like how they're down on 187. They're like at the end, but they're so good. They're probably my favorites. I think they're so good, and it pairs great with this wine.
It's called Cortona.
What did you say? It's the North Korea, South Korea?
Oh, yeah.
The DMZ.
The DMZ.
Well, that's where my mom grew up, on Cortona Avenue. That's where I spent, the better part of the first, 10 years of my life, on Cortona Avenue. Yeah, and Joe's is nearby. And that's what back in the day, there would be Joe's Deli and like 10, 15 other places right there on Cortona or right around the corner. And there were some shops, but literally on Cortona, there were places you could do most of your shopping for whatever, bread and whatnot. And that's how things are contracted. But it's great that Joe's is there now, keeping that end alive. Artuzzo's is sort of there too, and that's
Terranova's over there.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, Terranova bread was the Italian bread.
Yeah.
In all of the delis
Westchester.
and stores. Yeah, and all over the neighborhood was
That's all you
bread.
saw was Terranova.
They have a deal now with Whole Foods.
Do they?
Oh,
Yeah, they have. Maybe it's not Whole Foods. It's one of those big companies that they do supply like the pizza dough for.
yeah.
That was the only. That's the only bread I would see. The Italian bread style was Terranova. And now there's others, but
It's Nicosa. That one's for Joe.
but like to reminisce about like the old days that you
Crack
say,
that one
like
a little bit.
when me and Anthony met in high school, his family owned Calandria cheese all the way down at the corner.
Okay.
And that was like my first job. He got me a job. He said, "You need a job. Saturdays is it." And And, you know, me and my family would come down here every once in a while, but when I started working, I was here every weekend. And
Yeah.
my father would drive me down, and he would say, man, this place changed. And it's changed from, you know, that was almost 20 plus years ago, but he said, people would be on the corner talking about the soccer game. You wouldn't even hear English. Everyone would be speaking Italian. He's like, you know, now how the times have changed. And 20 years to now, the times have changed even more. But, yeah, it's just...
Things always change. So calandria cheese. Did your family make a fresh ricotta that maybe they sort of molded in a basket?
It's the best
Basket
fresh
cheese.
ricotta.
So you're talking about the fresh ricotta?
Yeah.
The big, the big 8-pound, 10-pound
I think so. Yeah.
You'll never have that.
Nah, you can never replicate that again.
You'll never find the ricotta is that good. Not to pat ourselves on the back, but
All right. I think on our podcast we had my friend Vinny
But you
Milano.
have the recipe.
I don't know if you know him from the
No.
neighborhood, but he's like a scholar of the neighborhood. He, you know, the things he remembers and the relationships he has. But he was talking about Calandra's cheese shop and about the ricotta there. Yeah. And he told a nice story.
speaking of the ricotta, and
Yeah.
this is actually very funny. This is
It's delicious.
the ricotta knife. I'll bring it over
Oh
there.
my God.
This is what we use to cut the
scrapped some
ricotta.
stuff.
No.
Anthony found it in
Oh my
his
God.
like garage, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd have the ricotta and our deal. People go, oh, I want 1 pound, I want half a pound, and the pride was getting it perfect,
Just right, yeah,
And
yeah.
every time, boom, half a pound.
That's fantastic.
But
It
yeah.
wasn't easily done because ricotta...
It's a machete.
It's
Which should
not as sharp.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it looks
right?
like one.
You have them in these plastic containers with holes in them, and as they were compressing over time, every day they would shed water.
Yeah.
So the next day, it was a different density. So you had to know that density and nail it.
This is a Thursday ricotta, not a Monday ricotta.
Right, you had to just look at it and say, okay, this is a fresh
Yeah,
one. This
yeah.
came from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
This is really light and fluffy and jiggly. By Tuesday, the next week, that ricotta was already firmer and denser. So what we used to do with those kinds of rigottas, because PA would bring another shipment in Wednesday, if we had a lot left over, we would take them and salt them.
Oh, and make
We would put salt like crazy on them.
yeah.
Like incredible amounts of salt. Put them back into the walk-in box and just let them mummify. They would sit there for maybe a month or 2 months, and they would go from 8 pounds and shrink down to 2 1/4 pounds.
Wow.
That whole ricotta from being white and jiggly and like pristine to just concentrating down and almost having this like yellowish, almost like a little greenish like tint to it. And it was hard as a rock. When you cut that thing in half and you cracked it open, it was like you found like the head inside
grail.
the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
you cracked it like what? It would just shine back at you. All the crystal salt crystals just glaring at your face. And you're like, what the? That grated over hot pasta.
Ricotta salad.
Wow.
So what?
You didn't eat salt. You would
No,
just use the
you had
ricotta
that.
salad to salt it. You would take your hot pasta, would come
Fantastic.
out, you tomato sauce, and you would watch the ricotta, like the pieces just like dance kind of as they were melting.
As you do it?
Wow.
You know,
So did you sell that?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
crushed
You
it.
sold
We
that.
used to
You
sell the hell out of
remember
it.
this?
what I know about ricotta salata is, now I didn't get it like the boutique variety from down the block, but in the local supermarkets, it's common now. But I make a pasta with arugula and ricotta salata. It is my kids'
Delicious.
favorite things to eat.
That's
They're
delicious.
home from school and everything. It's like, we haven't had the ricotta salata in a
The
while.
ricotta
Yeah.
salata that's made to be ricotta salata is like a third of the flavor.
I
The ricotta
bet.
salata that we would compress
You
down
had
to.
that- Where can I get that sort of bespoke ricotta salata? Is it
idea.
no place? Oh, that's interesting.
It's like a dead thing.
Maybe Joe's Deli, or are they just doing the mutts?
No,
Everyone does the
because you
mutts.
have to have fresh ricotta like that, which I don't know anyone that has fresh
That
ricotta
has
like
the
that.
fresh-
Everyone gets like ricotta like in little containers, little tubs. That's like a...
That's interesting. You know what that also speaks to? This is so Italian. Okay, you've got something, and it's got a shelf life, but we're not wasting it. So as its primary function, that time frame closes. All right, what else can we do with it? You come up with something better than the original one, and that's that's the secret to their eating. Everything is cultivated to be so phenomenal.
Even the leftover milk from making curd. So you get, when you make mozzarella, it comes like in stages. Right? At first you have your milk, you add your rennet, and that starts separating the whey from the water. All right, so the heavier parts sink to the bottom, the water floats to the top. That becomes ricotta. You keep on doing that, and it firms up even more, and it becomes the curd. You take that curd, you then chop it up once you get it to the store, you add some hot water, you start stretching it, you start making the scamorza. You start making the fresh mozzarella. A day later it becomes scamorza, 2-3 weeks later it becomes caciocavallo. But that water that was left over, right, from the process of when we get the curd, we chop it up, add the hot water, we start stretching it, you left over this milky looking water. You take that water, you pour it in a big vat with a little valve on the bottom, put it in the fridge. Same thing happens. The water goes all the way to the bottom this time, all the fats rise to the top. You crack that drain on the bottom, let all the water come out. Once it starts getting milky white, it's almost like a cream, you close it, you let it sit a little bit more, you throw salt, and we had a homemade blender from a drill. We put the blender in there, start blending it, we got fresh butter. And it was fantastic. The real burrata, not this bullshit. This bullshit you get in the store. You when you're making the caciocavallo, when you're making the yellow curd to become caciocavallo, you open up the inside.
That's amazing.
You put a bowl of this butter that you made from the leftover of making curd, and then you seal it up. That sits in the fridge for a few days. After a few days, it firms up. You put a rope around it. You hang it. Let it sit for another month or so. And when it's ready, now that the caciocavallo has like this shine to its glimmer, it's dripping oil as it's concentrating its flavors. You cut it in half. That butter is like the lightest, saltiest,
it's fantastic.
frothiest butter. No refrigeration, no nothing. You take it piece out, you put on a piece of toast.
That's
Breakfast
That's
done.
living.
This is great.
It's funny because burrata became such like a thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I would say, I'm like, this is not burrata. This is not. I'm like, we used to make burrata. This isn't what it's not a mozzarella with whatever the hell inside.
Okay.
It was fantastic butter. Yeah, like he was saying. And oh man, working in that cheese store was something
Changed
else.
your life.
Now this, I want this now, but there's really no practical way to do it on a small scale, is it? Like you kind of need, because of the size of the refrigeration, the volume of stuff you have.
you could do it because you can get the curd, you can make the mozzarella, you could do the butter part. I mean, yeah, you need a bit of room, but it's not like, it sounds more overbearing than I think it would be. To make the fresh ricotta, on the other hand, you need, I feel like, is a little more
involved.
Yeah.
And the milk has to be the right consistency because sometimes the cows would be pregnant and they were giving off like, was it colostrum?
Okay.
And that would get into the curd. And then we're making the curd and we're like, what the f***? There's like lines, like striations almost in the cheese. And it doesn't have any flavor. It tastes weird. I'm like, what the f-? Oh, the farmer mixed in the wrong stuff. It's like you have to like really know.
Really purify.
Yeah, you got like a good quality milk. And apparently in New York City you can't make that stuff. There's some law like you can't make.
Because it's raw.
Yeah, it's some weird law. So they had to make it in PA.
Yeah, that's where we'd get the fresh ricotta from. Is the guy would come out all the way from PA, and oh man, I do miss that. And they would make the smoked mozzarella for us as well.
You know, once you have food like that, it's very hard to go back and not have food. Like
It is.
Anytime you have food.
I mean, I got to a point where I would eat so much fresh mozzarella. Like they would be making it, I'd come in the back and just cut myself a piece. I couldn't eat mozzarella for like another year. I was just, I was like sick of it. I couldn't.
You became a hunter.
Yeah, pretty much. Man, the rest of my life, I'm just a mozzarella. What are you gonna do?
Just one big
We would do fun shit like get pork fried rice from the Chinese store.
And
throw ricotta in it.
I tell people that, and their minds are like, that's gross. I'm like, no, Chinese Italian was perfect.
It was great.
Fresh ricotta.
You know, the first time I had real Chinese food, I mean, this was in Queens at a place where there were Chinese people eating. A friend of mine who was Chinese said, I want to take you there. And I'm eating this. I'm like, wow, they don't have this in my takeout place, which I like, but this is incredible. And I said, this is like Italian food. The only different, the sauces are different. But the freshness, the seafood, the vegetables, the this and that. So this is the stuff my grandfather would go crazy over. Not And he's not going to get this. Well, my grandmother had a thing about Chinese food anyway. She was very suspicious of it.
My dad hated Chinese food. I used to float the idea that Jack have Chinese food. Goes, Chinese food. Get the we start yelling and screaming in the house.
That's funny. Yeah, my grandmother's like that. But no, but real, the authentic, the Chinese food, Chinese people eat. Wonderful for these reasons. But I bet look, a good ricotta will raise everything up. So,
That's very true.
Yeah.
A good ricotta makes everything better.
So you get your fried rice. Yeah, why not? I'll do that too.
We do fun stuff like that.
Roger would do it all the time. Till the first, I tell people, they're like, "That's disgusting." I'm like, "No, it's not."
No, you gotta have it.
And you literally got lunch for $2. A little container of pork fried rice.
Yeah.
Right.
Ricotta's free because we work there.
Right.
Throw it in there.
I mean, I would even just take like a nice piece of fresh bread with the ricotta on it. So
Yeah.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
oh man, the cheese sauce, the good old days. Being, I would work only Saturday there. I would get paid. We'd work like 12 hours. I'd get like $60.
Yeah, $5 an hour.
And then, yeah, it's crazy. But like, we'd go out that night. We'd spend it on whatever. And my parents would pick me up every night to go home, and they would have to. It could be 2 degrees out. The windows would be down because I'd stink of cheese. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Cheese. The smell,
That's funny.
My mother would always say when she was young, she worked at a bakery. And she goes, I didn't need perfume. I smelled like cookies. It was fantastic. It was the complete opposite for me. I stunk like an old foot.
Good thing you weren't in a seafood store.
Yeah.
Oh, man, those guys
I feel
coming
bad
in
for
the
those
summer,
guys.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. That's rough. I don't want to be a seafood guy.
Which unfortunate too, right? Because that's how we look at it now, right? Our previous generation probably been like, "You guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. The fish is beautiful." Blah, blah, blah.
I love fish.
No, it is.
I just don't.
You don't want to.
Right? But
It's
that's most
You don't
part
want
of
to
the
smell
reason
like one.
why there's only 2 fish markets left.
Yeah, we got
There used to be 5.
right. Who wants to work it? Right. Yeah. Goodness. All right. So let me ask you very quickly, Trey Bicchieri. I just want to get some clarification. There was something like a little bubble Italian white everyone was talking about, and you said the name a couple times.
Tiny bubbles
and I can't
is
remember,
what they
but
kept
do you
telling.
remember what that was?
Tiny bubble white.
Passerina, maybe?
Pastorina. That sounds familiar.
It does.
Passerina. Passerina.
Passerina.
Interesting. It's hard to take notes there because you're drinking this, and I scribbled down a couple things just
it's
as
tough.
touchstones.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like, I know I'm there to be a professional, but
But I don't know who.
1 and 2 glasses, I'm like,
But everyone's in the same boat.
of course.
They were
Of
all
course.
fine,
You guys
but-
were having
It's
fun.
funny because yesterday we had the lady doing a tasting here, Tiziana. She was there as well. And I
Okay.
said,
Oh,
Tiziana.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I got a text from her.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Awesome.
she's the
Okay.
best. Tiziana's the best. And I said, Trey Bicchieri was fantastic, but I got too drunk. She goes, and that happens to everybody.
That's
I said,
the-
okay, good. As long as you.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, okay, good. As long as, I didn't, jump through a table and puke. It's happened a couple times, but not on wine. It's usually whiskey. But
Go right ahead.
If you're going to run up to grab the
Entertainment.
mic to sing Nessun Dorma, then maybe there was JP. That's a.
was it no, it wasn't the same. I don't think it was the same place. But we went to a wine event.
Yeah.
It was the same place. And, I guess one too many, but the guy was James Suckling event.
Yeah.
He was giving a speech and he didn't take a photo with us. He kind of shunned us. So, I'm a little loose and he's giving a speech and I'm like, boo. One of our wine salesmen's with us. He's like, I'm going to get in trouble. That's about as rowdy as I got.
All right. Oh, you are adorable.
Well, you know what? These
You
people are
had
grounding too.
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
lot of them
for
think
real.
this shit
I know.
doesn't stink. Oh, I give the rating. I did it. I'm like, listen.
He's just like a lawyer. He's not even like a wine. He doesn't even make wine.
It's
Who the hell are
tiresome,
you?
isn't it? I know.
But people, they live and die by the rating. They go, no, this we got 95 points.
But you said it earlier. You said you had expensive bottle, but then there was this other bottle, cost a third of the price. It was phenomenal. Those finds are great when you stumble across something. It's a good product. It doesn't have the marketing behind it, I guess. So there's the sense that everyone has to have it, but it's a great product and you can get it at a.
Sometimes it's time and place. Like if you've been drinking those Esacazos, Masatinos, and you drink a Tianello, it tastes like shit. But if you drink the Bertani, which is actually a little bit cheaper than Tianello, That's icing on the cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to catch that guy the right day to get the right rating.
Well,
How many movies have you been to that you loved that Robert, what's everything, Cisco and Eber gave a 0 star, they walked out of the movie or whatever.
Right.
It's happened to me a ton. The same thing applies to wine.
Yeah.
well, that happened this week. We had one of our salesperson came. They gave us a sample of one of the wines that we have. It's a $450 bottle. Fantastic wine.
Okay.
But I'm like, it tastes a lot like this $20 bottle wine.
Okay.
That I like better.
I was actually funny
what I mean?
to that. I was thinking about opening this up.
Okay.
I love this is one of my favorite wines, and it, like I said, this one that we had is 450. This is how much?
22.
22.
No marketing behind this.
Okay.
There's
It's one of my favorite
us
wines.
to have
a good
to say.
product.
It's filled with flavor, and I mean, I don't want to lead. I don't want to lead you on what it tastes like, but one of my favorite wines.
Lead away.
Tastes very similar to that one. I'm like, it's $420 cheaper. I'll take this one.
Sandwich in a minute. There we go, Bello, please.
Joe, where's your cup?
All right, basta, please. Okay. All right.
Yeah, this one you could pour a little bit more.
I mean, very dark. You could see in color.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Right
So-
away.
On the nose is different as well. It's a bold wine, to say the least.
Mouth closed first, inhaling.
However you want. Mouth open first, mouth closed first.
I mean, yeah. Well,
But I always say do both because then you'll see the difference.
yeah.
And it might help you pick out a note or two.
It really does.
Or
You can
sometimes,
smell the acidity. with
sometimes
the
you don't
mouth
smell
open.
anything. Some wines don't have a nose. Some wines have a nose for you, don't have a nose for me. So everything is subjective. Everything is...
With the
very
mouth
personal.
open, I get more tobacco notes to it.
Great legs, though.
Here's
I
to
saw that.
Sunday.
They were
Thanks for
Sunday
coming.
drinking
Sunday
wine now.
and
Thanks for
good
coming.
friends.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
So, Joe,
Joe. What a great way to start Lent.
My God. Oh, this is delicious.
Sacrificing with a $20 bottle
Now,
of wine.
again, if you told me this was an Amarone, I don't think I would argue. I don't think I know the but that's because of the body of this one and the complexity.
Oh, this is
chocolatey,
lovely.
Delicious, right?
tobacco in the nose.
Yeah.
Nice fruit to it.
I get
Not
dark
every-
chocolate, a dark cherry, little tobacco vanilla note.
Not every wine has to be $300. Don't get me wrong. I would drink $300 wine every day. But these
this
wines-
is satisfying. This is utterly
This is
satisfying.
lovely.
This would hold up if I'm serving dinner. It would go well with anything. Most importantly, my friends would be impressed. No, there we go. No, it's not that they would be impressed. They would enjoy it, and they would say, "Oh my good," they
really
they
nice.
sense it.
it's not, Ecco Domani or whatever $10, $12 wine you're going to find on a floor display in any big warehouse store. It's a very boutique wine. And they probably don't make enough production to support warehouses like that. So it's meant for stores like us. But it's a nice diamond in the
Yeah.
rough. It's a nice little buy.
Where in Italy does it come from?
Calabrese.
So
So if you think about it too, the fruit in here,
Yeah.
right? Pair with the local flair. Calabrese loves spice.
Yeah.
So andouille, spicy sopressata, spicy,
Yes.
Yep,
pork
spicy
sausages.
sopressata.
If we had some spicy sausage right now, it'd be
Yeah,
perfect
but-
with this.
was at my uncle's 90th birthday party yesterday, and everything my cousin served was delicious. They had a sopressade there that just stood out. I'm like, I've never had sopressade this good. Like, what? Why this? Right? Why this? Why now? And everything was delicious. First thing I thought of when I took a sip here was like, I wish I had that sopressade right now.
Perfect
with
with
this
this.
one. Yeah,
Perfect with this.
yeah.
Nice little rule of thumb, contrast when you're pairing. If you got something salty, you want something a little sweet with it. If you got something spicy, you want something with fruit with it. They work, those
They
little
do.
contrasts.
I could work the fruit and spice, for the rest of my life. I like that combination.
You love Primitivo.
Yeah,
Primitivos,
That's my style.
they work beautiful with spice.
Primitivo, spicy sopressata, some nice provolone. That's all you need.
Nice provolone.
So
And I don't even like provolone, but and wine, I was always iffy about I don't like to eat and drink. I don't have a beer with dinner or anything. And so wine, I know you're supposed to have wine with dinner, but it's never something. But I've been opening up to it. When we had our dinner, we had I think it was the Massatino that went fantastic with the cream. It was like a truffle cream pasta. And I was like, okay, you got to have the right pairing.
Yes,
you know.
yeah.
And I'm like, this makes everything out of this world. And yeah, with time, I've drank and eaten more, and I'm getting better.
And you're getting better.
Or worse.
At eating and drinking. And drinking. That comes with time. One thing we heard a few times when we were at Tre Bicchieri is that Arthur Cantina is the best wine shop in New York City.
Very,
Well, it was-
very bold
We
words.
heard this. We heard
I will
this
qualify with one thing.
more than once.
Italian wine. And not to diminish
Well,
it, but
Was
we
it,
don't have any
was it
friends.
Italian
also,
wine?
Yeah.
Also, let me hyphen this. These
We
people are
strong-armed
salespeople.
everybody.
Yeah.
Well, JP's going to break that leg.
Break their legs.
Okay.
These people are salespeople. They'll tell you you're the best taster. Of
course.
They'll tell you you're the number one, whatever, because they want to
So
sell
they
you.
lie to
They're
us?
liars. They're all liars.
they're liars.
They're all goddamn
But
liars.
some
Especially
people-
that Jerry, you lie.
Jerry Lee, son of a gun.
You lie and you steal my
let me
wallet.
I can tell you this.
When I
much
saw
about
him
Jerry.
standing next to you talking to each
Yeah.
other, I go,
They're in trouble. They're in trouble. I don't know. You know, I bought. I'm in a real estate deal with him now. I don't know. He made a lot of sense. No. But what to me, Jerry struck me as someone. There was the fun persona, Jerry. The salesperson,
sincere.
Jerry. This, and then
And
he seemed to-
sincere.
and if he's really, it was the sincere Jerry, and he was one of the people who was like, it was like seriously that shop. And he listed why he thought it was such a great
But
shop.
we
which is the
heard
same
it
reason-
more
yeah,
than once.
Yeah, because
more than once.
so this is the reason why I like the
said,
shop. Yeah, but Jerry,
You know
Jerry, beware of
Anthony?
Jerry.
You know Anthony? Yeah, we know Anthony. Yeah, we do. JP too.
You carry weight around
I
there.
did lose $50
We felt
though. I don't
special.
know what that. And I thought I just dropped.
That
it,
was
but no.
me.
Oh, that was
well, what he may be talking about is he deals with a lot of bulletproof stores.
Yeah.
A lot of stores that sell Behringer White Zinfandel. They sell Malibu, every flavor under the sun.
Dog shit shops.
Dog- yeah,
Stuff
right.
that like nothing special, nothing unique about it.
Yeah.
It's literally dog shit.
Yeah.
It's terrible stuff. And we'll stand out from guys like that because
Yeah.
we're not selling stuff like that.
No.
There's maybe a handful of guys like us.
Right.
Are we the best in the city? I doubt it. I mean, there's a lot of really big shops.
I'll put a whiskey up there.
But you're in the pantheon. But clearly there was another dimension. The products that you have, the service that you guys offer, and so that's the
I mean,
combination.
I'm the only liquor store I know of
And
that has
who
a
gets a
podcast.
sandwich
yeah, there you go.
when you're selling wine?
Yeah, and sandwiches. Yeah, come on by, get sandwiches too.
Well, you do interesting things like the barrels, the boutique barrels that you'll buy a barrel and the bottle. That's interesting. It's an education, even and on the podcast too, with all the fun that's there too. At the end of the day, you're going to walk away with a sense of something that you didn't have before. And any shop that can do that, whatever you're selling too, I like that shop. I like that shop, and all the much better if it's about any kind of Italian product too. That's that's me.
So who are your clients? Is it local? Do you get a lot of people from Westchester, Connecticut, coming down here because of the boutique?
We get rags
Offering.
to riches.
Really?
We get guys who got $5 in their pocket,
and looking for,
and we get billionaires coming
shot.
in there too.
really?
Yeah. So we get it.
We get
Everything.
guys like Jim Tebow to guys who own NHL teams.
Jim Tebow.
Mario
Little-
Gabelli?
I don't know if we get that guy.
Jonas Brothers.
Jonas Brothers. Came
Jonas
in.
Brothers.
The Jonas Brothers?
Jonas
Yeah. 2 out of 3.
Great guys.
And a couple of the other unnamed
Right
Jonas
before
Brothers.
Christmas,
That's
they
great.
came in.
This
they bought
year?
Yeah,
Last
this
year?
Signello and Sesakaya.
That's fantastic. That is
I hope they
fantastic.
don't
Those are the
Side
kind
by
of guys
side.
that drink that. Yeah.
What were they
That's-
buying?
Tianello, Sasakaya. High-end Italian wines. With the wines that we literally had at that dinner.
And the
dinner.
whiskey, I think one of them bought a whiskey. I forgot.
Double Oak Peerless.
Double Oak.
I
So
gave
the
him a
whole
sample.
team came in?
It was 2 of the main Jonases. I think another brother that's not in the group.
Right.
And then maybe a cousin, the father was there, but very great guys, very nice.
Nice
Wow.
people.
That's
Very nice
fantastic.
So they pulled up? Did they buy cases?
No, they come.
No, they were-
They're in the neighborhood. I wouldn't say often, but they've
Often
visited.
enough,
Yeah.
Really?
And it was funny because me and Anthony are helping them, and I'm like looking, I know this guy. I'm like, oh shit, this is like a Jones. And then we
know
realize
this
there's
guy.
there's like 4 or 5 like teenage girls just standing outside, like wait. They
Wow.
they like waiting for them.
Where does that on Instagram? Right, there was a Jonas Brothers sighting,
and and then once they left, the girls chased them down. I guess probably got a picture, but very nice guys. We get guys like that, and just guys that want a shot of Maker's Mark or whatever.
Jim Tebow sleeping with hookers.
Those stories were. I think that was the first podcast.
Jim Tebow
Our first guest.
a great guy. Jim Tebow could have been an MIT professor if he was on the street. If he would have stayed with the doctor instead of the Korean hooker, he would have been an MIT professor.
That's great advice, right? Stay with the doctor, not the Korean hooker.
Yeah. Well,
Dr. Candy Smith.
yeah. Jim, this one's for you, bud.
Salute.
So the Jim.
Fantastic wine.
Yeah, we get everybody. That's fun.
And that's nice too. You're watching life go by. Every aspect of it. What about Fordham kids? Okay.
I don't know the exact metric, but I want to say they make about at least 10%.
Okay.
Yeah, they do buy some stuff. Yeah, and then
What do they buy? Are they buying wine?
Some of those kids,
They're well
They know what they're doing.
well-heeled.
They
Yeah.
come in,
we
they
have
buy
kids-
champagnes.
Whiskey snobs, and
kids
then
too, yeah.
you get the kids that want whatever a gallon of Tito's or
Right.
whatever. But we've had great customers from Fordham, and we had one guy who the spots, these Irish whiskeys, he would buy one like every other week. He graduated, did whatever he did, but yeah, you get kids that know their stuff. Well, adults, they're above 21. I give them all.
No.
They're kids. 21, but
kids. They're still kids.
21, you're a kid.
Yes,
right?
officer. 21, we only sold to
In my
21-year-olds
youth,
here.
the drinking age was 18, and it was, the 70s, things were much more lax anyway, but the drinking age was 18, and I looked like I was 25 when I was 12, so that was that. You didn't need an ID, but it was a different time frame.
It was always good to have a friend that looked old enough.
Yeah.
I had a buddy who had a full beard since 4th grade, so we need beer, we'd send him.
That was the key to my social life in high school. It's like when everyone figured out, this guy, he's the, it's like, hello.
It's like when this kid got the fake ID. We went down to Florida with a fake ID from Florida and somehow got beer. That was a good time.
That was a good time.
So what's 5 years? What do you see 5 years down the road for Arthur Cantina?
hopefully
Take over the world.
we could put an advertisement on one of the SpaceX
There you
Missiles,
go.
yeah.
going to Mars.
Not looking good this week.
Have aliens buy our
aliens.
That happens.
some aliens.
It happened
buy
a
our
couple
wine.
of times
Yeah,
this
they
week.
one that blew up
This
in
week.
Mars. They'll figure it out. I'm sure they would. They got some smart people working there. I don't know. 5 years. 5 years ago, we were at the old location across the street.
Okay.
We moved here. I've got a couple things in the works we can't talk about.
No, that's fine.
So hopefully in the next 6 months, you'll see a big change.
Okay.
In the next 5 years, I'd like to maybe expand to another state.
Okay.
Can't expand stores inside New York. You're only allowed to have one store.
Interesting.
Really?
One license.
Every state has their own peculiar liquor laws. Pennsylvania, by the way, the strangest liquor laws.
You technically could have more stores, but it can't be in your name. It's got to be in your wife's name, your cousin's name, your neighbor's name, whatever.
Okay.
You can have 15 stores.
That's why, Total Wine is
Crosshairs.
only one Total Wine in New York.
There's hundreds of them in Jersey.
Okay, but in New York, just
New York, just one.
Interesting.
Not a lot of
I
franchise.
see maybe 10 years, maybe, given your heritage, back to your hometown, maybe having a small vineyard there too. And
If I had a couple million, I would love to.
That's all.
I
We'd
would
take
love
that
to.
much. There's
Yeah,
no
$2 million.
There's no 200,000
You're
to
not
get
going
it
to see
going.
an investment for another 10 years. You're not going to see a return on investment for another 10 years. At least if things come out, because maybe the vine you planted sucks.
Right. And you have no control. Right.
Maybe you get hit with the crazy rainstorm, knocks out the crop.
Yeah.
California is having problems years ago, before pandemic. They were spraying the vines with suntan lotion because the sun was so crazy, it was burning the grapes on the vine. It was so strong.
And they thought an SPF protection was going to...
That's the only thing they could do.
Yeah.
It would spray suntan lotion all over the
wine
plants.
tastes like shit, man.
And then they have to come back and rinse that all
That's
off.
crazy.
Which think about suntan lotion into your dirt.
It's got to be
when you're
chemicals,
writing.
got to be all that shit in there.
Yeah,
I
I'd
never
probably just
heard
call it a
that.
loss and maybe try to build some kind of canopy or something.
Yeah, put a
instead of
canopy over it.
But that's what they were doing. Starting a winery, I thought about it. I don't know.
It's not these commercials. Like, I'm retiring. I think I'd like to start a winery. Like, really? At age 65, you're going to start a winery.
There's a guy who owns a couple restaurants in the city, Frank Prinzano. He has like a restaurant called Little Frankie's, Frank's. There's a couple little spots. He bought a former villa with grapevines and olive trees about 30 minutes inland from Sorrento. So I think he spent $800,000. And the property is pretty expansive. There's a lot of fruits there. It came with 2 donkeys. It came with the horse. The first,
I'm sold. 2 donkeys, you better buying that,
That's
right?
a deal.
big building on the property. I think it's like 5 stories tall. The first 2 stories date back to the 1200s.
Wow.
So really, like you look at it, it looks ancient. And they built on top of it. And they found like a pizza oven in the basement. They're going to restart that. That made me more feasible. Do like a little vineyard on the side. And, you know, he'll make that wine and bring it for his restaurants.
Sure.
And then, you know, they'll just sell it there. And no one has to judge it. No one has to taste it.
Exactly.
It's his wine.
He's got it like a distribution all set up. Yeah.
Maybe something like that. That would be cool.
All right.
But to do like a full-scale vineyard, start from scratch, I would.
All right.
Too scary for
Well,
me.
you got a good thing going here, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'd love to get into more barrels of whiskey, because that's fun. I'd love to get into the more higher tier stuff, the Galatronas, Sassacais, Macetinos, all those guys. If we get more space, I would love to start stocking vintages. So like a really phenomenal vintage comes out, buy.
Then you can
a big
buy.
buy.
You have that for...
Stock it, keep it, and then release it in 5 years. When there's no more vintage available in the market, we'll release our vintage.
Wow.
Charge whatever you want.
Okay.
Hopefully sell it all to Tesla.
All right.
The secret's out. The secret's out. Have you found that people are coming in and buying up tequila or anything Canadian with the tariffs?
That's funny. We have a video coming in the next couple of days. I actually just bought some stuff, some props for it, to poke back at the Canadians. No, to fight back at the Canadians.
Yeah.
Tequila, we always have people coming in looking for high-end tequila. He can tell you, Fez, he's our tequila dog. He'll sniff out the good tequilas. And our tequilas, we're constantly sharpening our blade. We're getting rid of the stuff that has additives and getting the additive-free stuff.
Okay.
People love the additive-free stuff. They really don't mind spending the money for it. Now we just got slapped with tariffs. I haven't seen a price increase yet.
Okay.
But I'm sure, because these guys are smart in the industry, they know how to get ahead of this stuff. I'm sure they bought as much as they could before tariffs got enacted.
Right.
Especially had that month of
You knew it was coming,
yeah. So that's pretty smart. I mean, did they buy 5-year supply? I doubt it, but I think we could weather the storm for a year or two.
Okay.
Yeah, luckily the Canadians don't make anything good, so.
Oh,
So Mexico's a different story. Yeah, well, I don't,
Well, the thing is,
I'm not big on breakfast.
Oh, boy.
What do we got? We got 2 wines. 2 wines. We got 2 whiskeys from Canada.
Which ones? I think we have Crown Royal, Blackberry.
And
That's it.
technically the Caribou Crossing and the
But
Whistle Pig.
that's American juice.
That's it.
Okay.
There was videos of the Canadians putting like shopping
Caribou
carts of
Crossing.
shit out of American whiskey. Whatever, they lost.
This was all like,
All right, game
Oh,
on.
shit,
Okay,
whiskey,
the gauntlet has been thrown down.
I was never a fan of Canadians
enough.
anyways. They're not even a real country anyway.
Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
Blame Canada.
Oh, boy.
I'm not a Trump guy, but when you attack like something like our business, which is whiskey, I'm gonna defend our side. I'll defend our side.
Absolutely.
They booed the national anthem at the WWE pay-per-view. I didn't like that, man. I was watching.
And so the war began.
So yeah, that's when they messed with my wrestling.
This is where we annex Canada.
But, I mean, I know it's not a wrestling podcast, but a lot of great Canadians wrestlers come from Canada. So
Okay.
God bless.
So our guy who does our podcast,
Our
Sal,
producer.
he does a podcast called Another Wrestling Podcast.
Oh
You
my
gotta talk to
goodness!
JP.
I gotta
If
talk
you guys
to
are
him.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
You're going to want to be in on that.
I'll definitely. I don't know. I'm in. If they need a guest, I'll go. I'm a big wrestling
No,
nerd.
man. Too
Another
much.
wrestling podcast.
All right.
I like that.
I enjoyed this so much. I'm gonna have to go home with a bottle of this. You know what? We're gonna get some and we'll pour some on our show.
Just a splash.
Oh, he finished it off.
Oh,
There you go.
oh, great. Thank you. JP, sorry.
I'm good.
You're good?
Sorry.
So
Once again, this is so much fun.
thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
This is
I
great.
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
No, our pleasure.
Thank you.
And we look forward to having you up in Beacon on our show.
We're down for
Where can the viewers find you guys?
Well, my address is for no.
Well,
Our podcast. I wish I were a prosciutto. Streams all the major podcast streamers, but Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, and a bunch of others. I mean, no disrespect, I don't know all the
Yeah,
they're all
no,
there.
no.
We're aiming to have a YouTube presence soon, so that's coming on too. But that's where you can hear our podcast. We got a Facebook page, Instagram, all of that. We'd love to have dialogue with you on social media as well. But yeah, that's where you can find us.
And we're also on WGCH.
Of course, thank you. WGCH Radio, twice a month.
Twice a month.
Sundays.
And we will have this show on WGCH.
Yeah, we'll do.
Don't you think?
Yeah, no. We'll definitely do a version.
a boutique show.
The radio show is an edited version because it's strictly timed. 38
compressed.
minutes, 50
Very
seconds.
compressed.
So we get
Very
like
compressed.
the
And we
distilled
have a
Amarone
huge
grape,
reach.
right? Yeah,
We have a very large reach.
that's
Westchester.
nice. Westchester.
We'll be on our best
Fairfield.
behavior too.
Okay.
No.
You'll be on your best behavior.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to edit this. Here and there.
Here and there.
Here and there.
Yeah, for
Not
time.
too
for time.
much.
But yeah, WGC
Not
is
too much.
$14.98.
Just the Canadian version of it.
We'll bring some patience up for the
everything
editing
else,
guy.
the sky's
we
the
don't
limit.
We don't broadcast in Canada, so I think we're
Good.
okay.
I think
So
we're
we don't have to
good.
worry. Screw.
So even though I got cut, there's a lot of Italians in Canada.
Yes.
we got cousins. The cousins in Canada, we call them the Canadians. Oh, the Canadians are coming down. It's out there, right? But
10 years ago, I'm chaperoning
On their
my daughter's
horses
trip to
with their red
Toronto.
jackets.
And our travel guide there, you guys are from Connecticut? You're like, yes, we're from Connecticut. Ah, Hartford Dwellers.
they've been gone.
Make me so mad. They're right, they've already been gone a
Yeah, they've been
decade,
gone
but they're still bitter about the Hartford Dwellers.
That's funny.
Well, my only experience with Canadians, I want to have one cousin who's from Italy, moved to Canada, so she's not really Canadian. But we had a Canadian guy who owed my brother money. So he came to the cheese store.
Uh-oh.
Typical Canadians.
He gave me $600.
Canadian or not?
It was American. So
Canadian, so it was only
okay.
$1.50.
I'm like a kid, right? So I take the money and put it in my pocket. Did nothing of it. My brother comes by later. I give him the money. And he counting it. And the bill on the outside and the bill on the inside were real. The other 4 bills on the inside
Oh my God,
were printed on like a computer or something.
Oh my God.
I hope there were $1,000 bills on each side.
My brother goes nuts.
Oh,
He's
man.
like, you didn't check. What the He's screaming and yelling, going crazy. And his law partner at the time was like, whoa. That's not his fault.
Yeah.
That's your fault. You had him bring it to the kid. That's your problem for doing that.
Shut up, Rios.
Right? So I go, but at the time I felt guilty too, because I'm like,
who would've
why didn't
thought?
I check?
I would have never thought to. All right.
I would have never thought to too, but that gave me my first foray into thinking a little more Machiavellian.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
trust anybody.
So in a business world,
Trust.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
he
you
was
just
an
wanted bills,
attorney?
you were looking
Your
at-
brother's an
My
attorney?
brother's attorney, yeah.
Okay. It's always
Nice.
good to
Yeah,
have
so-
an attorney in the family.
Don't ever trust Canadians. Is the point.
Oh, boy.
That was a lesson I learned when I was like 14.
Ouch.
Hard lesson to learn.
And I see that guy every now and then. I spit
was
on the
a
floor.
big lesson.
I'd be like, yeah, I know what you did. You know,
No, he knows too.
Like,
I called him out. He's like a
He
little
has-
4 foot tall guy. I'd grab the guy and throw him across
oh,
the
now,
street.
yeah, you crush him.
Yeah, he's a little tiny guy.
That was lame.
But anyway,
All right.
thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Thank you again.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much.
One time.
I would cheer.
Thank
I
you
finished
for
the
your
wine.
your hospitality.
It's all right.
Thank you, Chip.
Take care. Check out I Wish I Were Prosciutto.
Please do. Yeah.
Thanks for watching us. Thanks for staying tuned all this time. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bravo.
Arthur Cantina, we're really glad you came. We won't forget your face next time, but might forget your name.